On the day of the court verdict, my fiancé Nathan urged me not to persist with my innocence and to sign a plea agreement. I know you're innocent, but Chloe is carrying my child, and I can't let her go to prison. He held my hand, tears streaming down his face. Mandy, I'm doing this for your own good. I signed the plea agreement without hesitation. In my previous life, I refused to take the blame for Chloe. As a result, I was not only sent to prison but also tortured by Nathan's men until I became infertile. This time around, I chose to fulfill his wish. The next day, news of my theft of trade secrets spread like wildfire. Chloe even became a witness. Yes, it was her. I saw her sneak into Sebastian Group with my own eyes. But when the trial began in the afternoon, the plaintiff, Lou Bash, his nickname, withdrew the lawsuit. Under the astonished gazes of everyone present, he pulled out an engagement ring and knelt down on one knee. Mandy, will you marry me this time? As soon as she signed the plea agreement, a gleam of calculation flashed in the man's eyes. When he saw me looking at him, he immediately put on a look of extreme distress. Mandy, don't worry, I'll find you the best lawyer. When you go to prison, I'll spend money to pull strings for you and try to get you released on parole as soon as possible. I suppressed the mockery on my lips and spoke coldly. No need. He immediately put on a look of panic and urgency. Mandy, I know you're feeling lost right now, but you can't just give up like this. If you give up now, your parents. He continued to ramble on, showing his concern. If it weren't for what happened in my previous life, I might have actually believed him. In my previous life, after I refused to plead guilty, he turned on me without mercy. Not only did he fabricate evidence to send me to prison, he even bribed several female prisoners to use cold instruments to rob me of my right to be a mother. I hated him. It was he who had Chloe steal the secrets of the Sebastian Group. Why was I, an innocent person, the one who ended up suffering the most? Mandy? Nathan's voice brought me back to reality. Why do you look so pale? I clenched my fists, digging my nails deep into my palms. I'm fine. I forced a smile. I'm just a little scared about going to prison. Nathan immediately reached out to hold my hand, but I dodged him without a trace. He looked surprised for a moment, but the joy of getting the plea deal eventually won out. He carefully put the documents into his briefcase. I will hand this agreement to the judge in court 3 days from now. He promised me solemnly, I will keep this a secret for you these few days and not let anyone know. I nodded coldly. After signing the papers, I was released on bail. As we walked out of the courthouse, Nathan thoughtfully opened the car door for me and shielded my head with his hand, just as he had done so often over the past 3 years. But I knew very well that everything had changed. He was still playing the role of the caring boyfriend, looking at me with tender eyes. Mandy, I'll take you home. Home? I sneered inwardly. The villa that was once filled with our memories probably no longer had a place for me. Sure enough, when we pushed open the door of the villa, we were greeted by the unfamiliar scent of perfume. All the furnishings had been changed, and the simple style I liked had been replaced by a bunch of gaudy decorations. The wedding photo in the middle of the living room had been tossed into the storage room like junk, covered in dust. Nathan saw me staring at the wedding photo, and a hint of embarrassment flashed across his face, but he quickly regained his affectionate expression. Mandy, this was all Chloe's idea. You know, she's pregnant and her emotions are a little unstable. I looked away expressionlessly and walked straight to the bedroom. When I opened the door, a pungent perfume smell hit me. Several pieces of sexy lingerie that clearly didn't belong to me were scattered on the bed, and there were intimate photos of Chloe and Nathan on the bedside table. You slept in my bed? I turned and looked at him coldly. Nathan hurriedly explained. It's only temporary. Once Chloe gives birth, I'll have her move out. No need. I interrupted him, I just came to get some things. I quickly walked towards the wardrobe, only to find that it was already filled with Chloe's designer clothes. My clothes were stuffed into a suitcase and thrown in the corner. Mandy, don't do this. Nathan tried to grab my hand. I know you're hurting, but... I shook off his hand and was about to grab my suitcase and leave when my phone suddenly lit up with a trending news story. Breaking news! Former Lin family heiress signs plea agreement, admits to stealing Sebastian Group trade secrets. The trending topic was filled with shocked comments. Oh my God, the heiress of the Lee's family stole commercial secrets? I didn't expect it was really her. I thought she was taking the fall for Lynn Chloe. People like her should go to jail. My pupils dilated, and I looked up at Nathan in disbelief. I signed the plea agreement exactly as he instructed, yet he won't even honor his promise. Nathan noticed the text on my phone and looked slightly embarrassed. This. Mandy, let me explain. I really did want to keep this a secret for you, but you know, Chloe is pregnant, and she's also a suspect in this case. I didn't want her to be implicated, so. Extreme disappointment turned into calmness. It's okay. I hid my emotions and put away my phone. The trial will start in 3 days anyway. Nathan visibly relaxed and shook my hand hypocritically. Mandy, I hope you understand. Don't worry, I'll take good care of your uncle and aunt after you go to prison. I forced myself to pull my hand away and chose to stay in another room. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, I dialed a number I hadn't used in a long time. After the phone connected, I took a deep breath. Mr. Sebastian, this is Amanda. There's something I need to discuss with you in person. The next morning, I got up early and got ready. But just as I was about to leave, I ran into Nathan at the front door. Seeing me dressed up, he frowned. Where are you going so early? I have something to do. I lowered my head to change my shoes, avoiding his gaze. Nathan suddenly reached out and grabbed the doorknob, his voice sinking. This is a critical time. You'd better not go out. You're out on bail. What if someone recognizes you? I didn't want to argue with him, so I spoke coldly. Let go. Nathan's face instantly turned gloomy. He grabbed my wrist so hard that it hurt. Amanda, you better recognize your current situation. I struggled hard, but he dragged me upstairs. His fingers dug into my flesh like iron clamps. It seems I've been too lenient with you. He suddenly let go of me, clapped his hands, and 2 men in black appeared beside him. Tie her up and lock her in the basement. She's not to be allowed out until the trial. Nathan gave the order, and the 2 men immediately tied me up. I struggled desperately but to no avail, and could only glare at Nathan and raise my voice. Nathan, are you going to imprison me? The male lead's eyes darkened. Mandy, don't blame me. You forced my hand. The basement was cold and damp, with only a dim light bulb as a source of light. Nathan stood at the door, his expression unclear in the backlight. He said coldly, stay here until the trial. As soon as he finished speaking, his men pushed me inside. I stumbled and bumped into the wall, feeling a sharp pain in my shoulder. I let out a muffled groan and glared at him with hatred. The man's eyes flickered, and he ordered his men to untie me. He took out a diamond-encrusted necklace from his pocket. Mandy, his tone carried a hint of guilt. I had this necklace custom-made for you. Consider it compensation. He held the necklace out to me, the diamonds sparkling brightly in the dim light. I stared at him coldly, not reaching out to take it. What, you're afraid I'll run away, so you're trying to appease me with this? Nathan's expression froze, then he sighed. I just want you to know that I still have feelings for you. I snorted, Nathan, your feelings are making me take the blame for your lover and then locking me in the basement? The man's expression froze, but before he could speak, Lynn Chloe's voice suddenly came from the stairs. She hurried down the stairs and snatched the box. What a beautiful necklace. Chen, is this for me? Nathan was clearly taken aback. Chloe, this is for. I don't care, I want it. Lynn Chloe put the necklace around her neck and pouted in dissatisfaction. My sister is about to go to prison, it's a waste to wear such a nice necklace. Nathan looked at me, then at Lynn Chloe, and finally gave in with a spoiled smile. All right, if you like it, you can have it. Lynn Chloe got what she wanted but wasn't satisfied. She frowned and said, but you gave my sister's gift to me. What should my sister do? Why don't you? She paused, curled her lips, and casually pulled the old necklace from her neck, handing it to me. How about this necklace is your sister's gift instead? Nathan pretended not to notice her malicious behavior and said to me, Mandy, look how much Chloe cares about you. I'm sure the 2 of you will get along well in the future. I stared at the silver chain glinting faintly in the light and smiled sarcastically. Nathan continued. By the way, Mandy, considering that Chloe is pregnant and you He paused. The doctor said you have difficulty conceiving, so I've decided to call off our engagement and marry Chloe. Although I had been mentally prepared for this, his words still stabbed me in the heart like a knife. But don't worry, I'm not that heartless. After you get out of prison, I'll arrange a place for you to live and a job. After all, we used to. I interrupted him with a cold laugh. Nathan, do you really think I'll believe your lies? Chloe wrapped her arm around Nathan's arm and looked at me with contempt. Sister, don't be ungrateful. Nate is just taking pity on you. Who would want a woman like you who can't have children? I clenched my fists tightly, digging my nails deep into my palms. The pain kept me awake and reminded me not to act impulsively. Now was not the time to fight back. Late at night, the basement door suddenly opened. I frowned and looked up to see Chloe walking in. Chloe walked into the basement in her high heels, looking down at me with a smug smile on her lips. TSK, I really envy you, a woman who can't have children. You can live anywhere. Unlike me, who can only sleep on expensive velvet. I glared at her coldly. Get out. She smiled even more brightly, gently caressing her stomach. Sister, do you know? Actually, you've never been able to conceive because of Nate. My heart sank. What do you mean? Nate has been adding birth control pills to your food. The dosage is enough to make you infertile for life. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, he planned it all along. Once you lose your ability to have children, he can divorce you and marry me. So that's why I've never been able to have children. Anger erupted like a volcano, and I stood up abruptly, slapping her hard across the face. You two dogs. Chloe stumbled back a few steps, but suddenly smiled eerily. She took a few steps back, fell heavily to the ground, and let out a shrill scream. Ah! What are you doing, sister? The basement door was kicked open, and Nathan rushed in with several men in black. Chloe. He hurriedly helped Chloe to her feet and saw her swollen cheeks, his anger flaring up. Amanda. What did you do to her? Chloe threw herself into Nathan's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Nate, my sister, she wanted to kill our child. I retorted fiercely, you're lying. You fell down yourself. Nathan didn't listen to my explanation. He stared at me with a sinister look in his eyes. Someone, tie her up. The men in black immediately rushed forward, roughly pushed me against the wall, and tied my hands with ropes. Nathan. You animal. I struggled desperately. You've been drugging me to make me infertile, haven't you? His expression changed slightly, but he quickly regained his cold composure. So what if I did? A woman like you doesn't deserve to bear my child. He turned and took a leather whip from the wall. Since you dared to hurt Chloe, you must pay the price. He raised the whip with a cold smile and struck me hard. Ah! The excruciating pain made me scream out loud. The first lash left a bloody mark on my back. This lash is for Chloe. Slap. The second lash followed immediately. This one is for our child who is in danger. The whip fell like rain, and I soon lost consciousness from the pain. He then splashed cold water on me to wake me up and continued his torture. After 99 lashes, I was covered in blood and collapsed on the ground, barely alive. Nathan threw down the blood-stained whip. Drag her to court. She must confess today. I was roughly dragged out of the basement and shoved into a car. The wounds on my body rubbed against the rough seats, causing me almost to faint from the pain. By the time we arrived at the courthouse, it was already dawn. Thanks to Nathan's money power, the case was brought to trial ahead of schedule. As soon as I was dragged into the courtroom, Nathan's lawyer jumped to his feet. Your Honor, my client has voluntarily confessed. Please pass sentence as soon as possible. Just as the judge was about to announce the verdict, the courtroom door was suddenly pushed open. Everyone turned to see Lou Bash, his nickname, walking in with his lawyer and medical team. He was dressed in a suit, his face stern, every move exuding the authority of a high-ranking official, but the look in his eyes as he looked at me was filled with pity. As the plaintiff in this case, I request to withdraw the lawsuit. At the same time, I request that my fiancé, Miss Lee, receive medical assistance first. The courtroom erupted in chaos. The journalists' flashes went off frantically, and Nathan stood up abruptly, his face turning pale. Mr. Sebastian, what do you mean by this? Lou Bash, his nickname, didn't even glance at him, but walked straight to me and knelt down on one knee. He carefully untied the ropes around my wrists, his voice gentle beyond belief. "Mandy, I'm sorry I'm late." I weakly lifted my head and met his deep gaze. In my previous life, it was this man who rushed into the prison to save me, only to perish in the flames alongside me. Lou Bash, affectionate nickname. I choked out his name, and when I realized he had been reborn with me, tears finally broke free. He gently wiped away my tears, his movements as delicate as if he were handling a priceless treasure. "Don't be afraid, Mandy. I'll protect you." He turned to the medical staff and gave them orders. "Treat Miss Lee's wounds immediately." The medical staff quickly gathered around me to check my injuries. When he saw the whip marks on my back, Lou Bash's intimate nickname, eyes turned cold in an instant. "Who did this?" His voice was not loud, but it made the entire courtroom fall silent. Nathan's face changed abruptly, and he forced himself to speak. "Mr. Sebastian, this is our family matter." "Family matter?" Lou Bash, his nickname, sneered and took a diamond ring out of his suit pocket. Under everyone's shocked gaze, he took my hand. "Amanda is my fiancé. When did she become your family matter?" The diamond ring sparkled in the light, the very one he had never had the chance to give her in his previous life. I trembled as I held out my hand and let him put it on my finger. Nathan was completely panicked, his eyes filled with disbelief. "Impossible. She clearly signed a confession agreement." Lou Bash, his nickname, stood up and looked down at him. "That agreement was signed under duress and has no legal effect. Not to mention." He snapped his fingers, and his assistant immediately handed him a document. "I have complete surveillance footage of Lynn Chloe infiltrating Lou's company and stealing information, as well as audio evidence of Nathan instructing her." The surveillance footage began to play on the courtroom screen. In the footage, Lynn Chloe sneaked into Lou's file room and copied confidential files onto a USB drive. This was followed by a clear recording. "Chloe, once we get Lou's chip technology, we'll control the entire industry. Then that useless Amanda can get out of here." Nathan's voice was clearly audible in the recording. Lynn Chloe's face turned pale, while Nathan flew into a rage. "This is forged. Lou Bash, his nickname, you framed me." The judge banged the gavel. "Silence. Due to new evidence, this case will be retried. Defendants Nathan and Lynn Chloe are suspected of commercial espionage. Take them into custody immediately." The bailiff stepped forward and handcuffed the two. Nathan struggled wildly, glaring at me. "Amanda. You bitch. How dare you betray me?" Chloe Lynn was even more hysterical, her eyes filled with hatred as she glared at me. "Sister, you're so evil. I'm pregnant." I looked at them coldly. "Nathan, now it's your turn to taste the pain of 99 lashes." As Nathan and Lynn Chloe were led away by the bailiffs, they kept turning back to curse. "Amanda. Do you think climbing onto Lou Bash, intimate nickname, means you're safe? I won't let you off the hook." Lou Bash, intimate nickname, shielded me behind him, his gaze cold as he swept over them. "Mr. Phillips, you should focus on how to get out of prison first." He turned to the judge with a serious expression. "Given the defendant's violent tendencies, I request that they be prohibited from contacting my fiancé." The judge nodded in agreement, and the bailiffs immediately dragged the two out of the courtroom. After the trial, Lou Bash, intimate nickname, personally drove me home. Not back to that nightmare-filled villa, but to his luxury apartment in the city center. I had too many wounds, and after all that turmoil, my clothes were once again soaked with blood. Lou Bash, intimate nickname, was panicked and heartbroken. He carefully helped me sit on the sofa, his movements as gentle as if he were handling something fragile. "The doctor will be here soon." I looked at his furrowed brows and couldn't help but smooth them out. "I'm fine, it's just superficial wounds." Lou Bash, his nickname, grabbed my hand, his voice hoarse. "I should have found you sooner. It's not too late." I leaned on his shoulder. We finally didn't miss each other in this life. In my previous life, I was framed and imprisoned, suffering all kinds of torture. The female prisoners, following Nathan's orders, used cold instruments to destroy my uterus. When the prison doctor told me that I would never be able to have children again, I nodded numbly, my tears long since dried up. But then there was a commotion outside. Mr. Sebastian. You can't go in. The door to the infirmary was kicked open. Lou Bash, his nickname, rushed in covered in blood, with several prison guards lying behind him. The moment he saw me, his eyes turned red. Mandy, I'm sorry I'm late. That damn Fu Yunsung blocked the news. I only found out you were in prison this morning. His voice trembled with regret. He stumbled and knelt in front of me, his trembling hands wanting to touch me but not daring to. I then noticed that his right hand was missing a finger, and the wound was still bleeding. How? He took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around me. Don't be afraid, I'll get you out of here. The alarm sounded throughout the prison. Lou Bash, his nickname, carried me on his back and dodged the hail of bullets. His blood mixed with mine, leaving a long trail behind us. Put me down. You don't have to do this for me. My voice was weak. But he didn't say a word and only quickened his pace. We were cornered in a dead end. The torches of the pursuing soldiers illuminated the night sky. Lou Bash, intimate nickname, suddenly turned around and hugged me tightly. Mandy, I love. The explosion drowned out his confession. As the heat wave hit, he used his body to form a final barrier for me. What's wrong? Lou Bash, his nickname, wiped the tears from my face, and I realized I was crying. The ring on his thumb sparkled in the light. It was the one that had been blown off in my previous life. I remembered something. I smiled through my tears and moved closer to him. The doctor arrived quickly and treated my wounds. Seeing the scars on my back again, Lou Bash, intimate nickname, clenched his fists so tightly they cracked. I'll make them pay. His eyes were filled with a terrifying storm. I held his hand and gently comforted him. Don't dirty your hands. The law will punish them. After the doctor left, Lou Bash, his nickname, personally applied medicine to my wounds. The ointment was cool, but his fingertips were burning hot as he gently traced every scar. Does it hurt? His voice was low, filled with suppressed anger. I shook my head, but heard him continue. When I found you in my previous life, you also had wounds. His voice trailed off, as if he had recalled some terrible memory. I turned and hugged him, resting my head on his shoulder. It's all over now, everything is over. He hugged me back tightly, so hard that I could hardly breathe. Yao Yao, in this life, I will never let anyone hurt you again. After Nathan and Lynn Chloe were arrested, I thought everything was finally settled. But unexpectedly, just 3 days later, the Phillips spent a fortune to secure Nathan's release on bail. That evening, I was sitting on the balcony of Lou Bash's, a close nickname, apartment reading a book when the doorbell rang. Through the surveillance screen, I saw Nathan standing outside the door, dressed in a suit, holding a large bouquet of roses. His face was adorned with a familiar gentle smile, as if the hysterical curses in the courtroom had never happened. I sneered and pressed the intercom button directly. Get out. Nathan's smile froze, but he quickly adjusted his expression and spoke in a low, earnest voice. Mandy, I know you hate me, but give me 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, okay? I have something I need to tell you in person. I was about to hang up, but then I thought better of it. Why should he get to feel good? I slowly walked to the door, opened it, but didn't remove the security chain. Nathan's eyes lit up instantly, and he took a step forward eagerly, but was stopped by the security chain. Mandy. His gaze fell on the diamond necklace around my neck, which was a wedding gift from Lou Bash, his nickname. Nathan's pupils contracted sharply, but he quickly forced out a bitter smile. Are you really going to marry him? I leaned against the doorframe, smiling faintly. What else? Marry you, the beast who almost beat me to death? Nathan's face turned pale instantly, and he shook his head frantically. No, Mandy, it was all a misunderstanding. I was so angry that day. Misunderstanding? I sneered, pulling open my collar to reveal the whip marks on my shoulder that hadn't yet healed. 99 lashes, Nathan. You counted them clearly. Nathan's breathing stalled, and a flash of panic and regret crossed his eyes. He suddenly knelt down, the roses in his hands scattering on the ground. Mandy, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. His voice was choked with emotion, his eyes red, as if he was truly in pain. In a previous life, I might have softened my heart and believed his lies. But I remembered clearly that he had done the same thing in my previous life. In court, He cried and begged me to confess, but then turned around and had passionate sex with Chloe in the villa. Seeing my cold expression, Nathan's regret grew even stronger. Nathan knelt on the ground, his fingers trembling as he grabbed my pant leg, his voice choked up and almost broken. Mandy, do you remember the first time we met? That day, you helped a little girl reach a book on the shelf in the library. The sunlight shone on you from behind, and I stood behind the bookshelf, my heart beating so fast it felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. That day, I confessed my feelings to you. I looked at him coldly, but those images kept flashing before my eyes. Back then, Nathan was just a poor student. To buy me a birthday present, he secretly took on 3 jobs. When you had a fever of 39 degrees, I stayed at the hospital for 3 days and nights. His tears fell onto the marble floor. The doctor said you could develop pneumonia at any moment. I knelt in the hallway and prayed to every god I could think of. My fingertips trembled slightly. That night, he did indeed stay by my side, even though he was so tired he was almost unconscious. I know I deserved to die. I admit I was possessed by a demon. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he bowed his head heavily, his forehead pressing against my ankle. But for the sake of all these years, please, please let me atone for my sins. His tears soaked my slippers, and the warm sensation reminded me of how he used to press his face against my hand whenever I cried. These past few days, I've been waking up in the middle of the night. His voice was broken, dreaming that you were covered in blood, asking me why I betrayed you. I turned my face away, but I couldn't stop thinking about our past together. Give me one last chance. He suddenly pulled out a folding knife from his pocket and stabbed himself in the thigh before I could react. Blood gushed out, but he just smiled sadly. This stab is to repay you for the first lash. After saying that, he raised the knife again and aimed it at his other leg. I'll repay you with all 99 lashes. My pupils dilated, and I immediately removed the security chain and grabbed his wrist. The smell of blood made me dizzy. At that moment, I couldn't tell if it was hatred or pain. My heart felt like it had been torn in two. Nathan took the opportunity to hug my legs, hot tears rolling down his face, looking utterly pitiful. I swear I'll make it up to you with the rest of my life. Take my life now. His blood pooled on the floor, and the face that I had once longed for was now filled with desperate pleas. I suddenly felt very tired, so tired that I wanted to forgive him. But the next second, I saw Chloe at the door. She stood at the door with a big belly, her eyes filled with hatred. I snapped back to reality. No matter how sweet the memories were, the fact that this man had betrayed me was undeniable. Once unfaithful, forever untrustworthy. No matter how pitiful he looked in front of me, it couldn't change the fact that he had harmed me in the past. I turned cold and looked at the miserable man in front of me. I don't want your life, and I don't want your compensation. And I won't give you a chance to atone for your sins. Please leave. Nathan's face turned pale in an instant, but before he could say a word, Chloe rushed in, holding her pregnant belly. Her eyes were red, and she picked up the vase on the shoe cabinet and glared at me angrily. Amanda, you shameless bitch. Nate begged you like that, and you still dare to act all high and mighty. Shut up. Nathan suddenly shouted, scaring Chloe so much that she dropped the vase, which shattered at her feet. She looked at the man she loved so deeply in disbelief, her nail-polished fingertips trembling. Nate, you're yelling at me? For this thing that can't lay eggs. Smack. A slap cut off her scream. Nathan stood up, supporting his injured leg, his eyes red with rage. If it weren't for you stealing something and getting caught, how would I have ended up like this? If I had known you were so stupid, I would never have been with you. He turned to look at me, his face full of pleading. Mandy, it was actually that bitch Chloe who seduced me. If it weren't for her, I would never have been unfaithful to you. I've always loved you. I looked down at him and found him laughable. Chloe heard his words and was on the verge of collapse. Nathan. You. It was you who. But before she could finish, Nathan, with bloodshot eyes, kicked her hard. Shut up. Don't you dare talk nonsense in front of Mandy. The woman staggered backward, her carefully styled hair smeared across her face. She clutched her stomach and let out a piercing scream. Nathan. That's your child in my belly. She violently tore open her maternity dress, revealing her slightly protruding abdomen. But when her hand touched her belly, the bulge mysteriously collapsed. The air suddenly froze. Nathan's pupils contracted violently. Where's the baby? I blurted out. Chloe frantically pressed her hands against her abdomen, but the silicone implant had already slipped down to her waist. She suddenly grabbed the decorative candlestick at the entrance and threw it at Nathan. It's all your fault. You made me pretend to be pregnant. Now everything is ruined. Nathan couldn't dodge in time, and the candlestick grazed his temple, causing blood to gush out. Are you crazy? He wiped the blood and suddenly lunged forward to grab Chloe by the neck. If it weren't for you insisting on this fake pregnancy, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Cough. Let go. Chloe's fingernails scratched his face, leaving bloody marks. Who was it who said that Amanda couldn't have children, and made me pretend to be pregnant to frame her? I felt a chill run down my spine. So they had been plotting against me for 3 years. Excellent. Lubash's voice came from the doorway. He leaned against the doorframe, playing with a voice recorder with his long fingers. This confession is more direct than the surveillance footage. He walked over, shielded me in his arms, and glared at Nathan. He let go of her as if he had been electrocuted, and Chloe collapsed on the floor, coughing violently. Mr. Sebastian, this is all a misunderstanding. Nathan turned to run away, but was pinned down by 2 bodyguards in a pool of blood. A misunderstanding? Lubash, his nickname, curled his lips into a cold smile. You broke into my house while I was away, and you call that a misunderstanding? Nathan, you beat Mandy so badly. Do you really think that cutting yourself a few times and using a ploy like this will make me forgive you? Nathan gritted his teeth and remained silent for a moment, then suddenly tore off his pretentious facade. Lubash, intimate nickname, what are you pretending to be? Amanda's infertility is a fact. Are you, the president of Sebastian Group, really going to marry a woman who can't have children? In the end, you'll end up just like me, abandoning her. Lubash, intimate nickname, sneered and kicked him in the body. You're a dog yourself, so you think everyone else is just a dog too? Nathan, you're disgusting. He signaled to the bodyguards, and Nathan was immediately dragged out the door. Chloe Lynn was thrown out with him. When their voices faded away, I couldn't help but look up at the man. Bash, intimate nickname, what Nathan just said. He shook his head and gazed at me with gentle eyes. Don't mind what he said. I love you. Modern medicine is very advanced. Even if we really can't have children, we can always adopt. The important thing is that you're safe and healthy. I leaned against him and shed tears of emotion. A long-lost sense of security enveloped my heart. I was taken care of by Lubash, his nickname, at his private villa to recover. He cancelled all unnecessary meetings, changed my bandages and fed me every day, and didn't even allow me to get out of bed for too long. I protested, but he just held my chin, kissed my forehead gently, and whispered. Mandy, do you know how much I regret not coming back to the country sooner in my previous life? His eyes held an endless fear that left me unable to argue. The doctor said the whip marks on my back would take at least a month to heal completely, so Lubash, his nickname, had his assistant bring all the company documents to the house and stayed by my side at all times. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night to find him sitting by the bed, his fingers gently tracing my eyebrows and eyes, as if to confirm that I was real. Bash. I called him softly. He immediately leaned down, his warm palm covering my cheek. What's wrong? Does it hurt? I shook my head and reached out to pull his collar, pulling him closer. You should go to sleep. He chuckled softly, lying down beside me, wrapping his arms around my waist and carefully avoiding my wounds, pulling me into his embrace. All right, I'll sleep with you. My injuries gradually healed, but Lubash, his nickname, still wouldn't let me leave the house. Nathan may have been arrested, but he still has the Phillips behind him. I don't feel safe. He squeezed my wrist and gently rubbed the marks left behind, a shadow flashing in his eyes. I shook my head helplessly. You can't lock me up forever, can you? He suddenly lowered his head and bit my earlobe, his voice low. If I could, I'd hide you away where no one could see you. His sudden possessiveness made my heart race, but I still teased him on purpose. Mr. Sebastian, this is illegal detention. He chuckled, sliding his fingers into my hair, holding the back of my head, and kissing me. Then go report me? The kiss was deep and fierce, as if he wanted to devour all my breath. Until I went limp in his arms, he finally let go, his fingertips brushing my lips, his eyes dark and intense. But the judge would probably acquit me. Why? Because, he leaned close to my ear, his voice hoarse, I love you too much. 3 months later, the Fu Group declared bankruptcy. Nathan and Lynn Chloe were sentenced to 10 years in prison for industrial espionage. It was said that when they were sentenced, Lynn Chloe first burst into tears, blaming everything on Nathan. She said she had been deceived by him, believing his lies and getting involved with him. When Nathan heard her say this, he flew into a rage and beat her in front of the judge. The scene became chaotic as they fought like dogs. It wasn't until the bailiffs arrived that they were pulled apart. As a result, both of them had their sentences increased. But by then, I didn't care about their fate anymore. My injuries had healed under the careful care of Lou Bash, my affectionate nickname. That morning, sunlight streamed through the sheer curtains onto the bed. I opened my eyes and found Lou Bash, my affectionate nickname, gazing at me with eyes as gentle as water. Are you awake? He kissed my forehead lightly. We have to go to the hospital for a checkup today, remember? I nodded, feeling warm inside. The man who had sacrificed his life for me in my previous life would finally be able to grow old with me in this life. By the way, I have a gift for you. Lou Bash, his nickname, smiled mysteriously and took a velvet box from the bedside table. When I opened it, there was a diamond necklace inside. It was the one Nathan had pretended to give me back then. How did you get this? I opened my eyes wide in surprise. He snorted coldly. During the last period of time, the Fu family sold almost everything they had to pay for the lawyer's fees. I had someone specially bid for it at an auction. The moment he turned to me, his eyes softened instantly. I hope you like it. I nodded with a smile and let him put it on me. After putting the necklace on me, he suddenly knelt down on one knee and pulled out an even bigger diamond ring as if by magic. Mandy, I didn't get to marry you in our previous life. This time, I'll make it up to you. Will you marry me? He suddenly lost his usual composure and authority, his gradually reddening cheeks betraying his nervousness and tension. I giggled and extended my hand. I will. Of course I will. This time, we could finally live happily ever after.